Welcome to the Militia Gaming Community. I'm Trigger Militia, and today's video we're going to find out how this R34 GT-R handles the track, the dirt, the drag strip, and maybe get a little sideways. Let's go! Alright, as always, huge shout out to all my subs for watching another one of my videos. As of today, the channel hit 9,000 subscribers. I'm so thankful to everyone who's decided to watch my content, and that includes everyone who's decided to watch this video. There's so much good Need for Speed content out there, so I really appreciate you taking the time to watch mine. Also, I really read every comment and every DM. Hit me up on IG if you have any questions or you just want to talk gaming. I can't promise I'll get to it right away, but I'll do my best to answer everyone I can. Okay, really quick, for those of you who haven't watched one of my build videos, I make these videos because it takes quite a bit of testing to figure out what the best track, drift, drag, or dirt build is for any given car, especially when you're talking about the engine. There are usually 7 or 8 engines for each car, and in this case 9, and each engine costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'd say most people really don't want to buy every engine and test them all, so in an attempt to save you some in-game money, I've bought every single engine for this R34 GT-R and proceeded to build each one with the highest tier parts possible, and then I repeatedly tested each engine on 2 different races and recorded the results to see which one was faster and more well-rounded. Then I tore it down and built it for drift, and then again for drag, and then again for the dirt. Let's get into it. Starting with the engine and the track setup. This race was boiled down to 4 engines, all of which are okay, but none of them are spectacular. These 4 engines were pretty close in times when I tested it on Arian and Aardvark. Here are the times for Arian. Notice the forged 2.6 liter inline 6 did the best with a 305.9. Now 305.9 isn't really that slow for Arian, but it's also not fast at all. It ranks 49th amongst the car/engine combos that I've tested on this race, so it's not that good. I was a bit disappointed with this car overall and thought that they could have made it a lot faster. I think its weakness is definitely the way it takes corners. The back end doesn't want to break loose at all, so you have to slam the e-brake into every single corner that is fairly sharp, which doesn't allow you to keep the speed coming out of it. I think on a straighter course, it might be a more effective car, so let's see how it did on Aardvark. On Aardvark, it ran a 450.6, which happens to be the 44th best time on the course. Again, not so good, but really not that terrible either. It's a very average car. Because I was a bit disappointed with the times, I decided to mess around with the live tuning and see if I could get the rear wheels to break loose easier, thinking it could take these turns a little bit faster. So I cranked the steering sensitivity up and minimized the downforce. What ended up happening is that it seemed like it took longer to regain traction after hitting a turn and thus slowing me down a little bit. I was unable to beat the fastest times on either course. Every time I made a change, I was a couple seconds behind, and I raced it over and over again thinking I maybe was doing something wrong. I used every single live tuning setting and still couldn't beat the default live tuning settings. So if you're going to drive this car because you love it and want the fastest track setting, use this build. Ultimate plus everything, dual turbo, 5x3 pound NOS, super track suspension, elite brakes, elite track tires, elite plus clutch, elite 7-speed gearbox, and super track differential. And then keep the default live tuning settings. And of course, that's using the forged 2.6 liter inline 6 engine. Alright, let's make this thing drive sideways. Moving on to the drifting category. I tested a couple of different setups, but I had no problem drifting this beast. The first setup I tested was the highest tier engine parts with the Pro Drift suspension, the Elite Drift tires, the 7-speed transmission, and the Pro Drift suspension. This setup definitely worked, but there was something I didn't like about it, so I swapped the differential to the Sport Drift differential, and it made a world of difference. After swapping, I posted my highest score on a couple of drift events. It felt so awesome. This car drifts so well, which is so funny because I had a terrible time breaking the back end loose on the track. So again, here's the best drift build. The forged 2.6 liter inline 6 engine, ultimate plus everything, dual turbo, NOS doesn't matter, Pro Drift suspension, elite brakes, elite drift tires, 7-speed trans, elite plus clutch, and sport drift differential. Now that I've figured out how to make this car drive perfectly sideways, let's see if I can make it go fast in a straight line. Let's build this thing for a drag race. Drag parts are generally not too much different from the track parts with a couple of minor adjustments. So starting with the track build, I swapped out the tires for drag tires, the NOS for the 1x15 pound bottle, and then adjusted the downforce all the way down along with the steering sensitivity, and that's it. The fastest quarter mile time I could achieve with this forged motor was 8.9 seconds. However, I then got curious and swapped over to the 4.4 liter V8 engine and was able to shave off 0.03 of a second at 8.87 seconds. An 8.87 second quarter mile is super fast, but still 0.6 of a second behind the Volkswagen Beetle. I would bet on the Beetle all day, but this Skyline is definitely not slow. Drag racing often comes down to the launch and the timing of the NOS. Racing someone who is inexperienced at drag racing will be no problem for this car. To convert this car into an off-road machine, I elected the off-road tires, the rally suspension, and the rally differential. I've heard that if you run the rally differential, it turns your car into an all-wheel drive, so I decided to test this by hanging the front wheels of this rear-wheel drive car over the water and proceeded to hit the gas, and yep, the front wheels spun. I then turned the car around and hung the rear wheels off the edge because I thought I might be crazy, and yep, the rear wheels spun. It's an all-wheel drive car after swapping to the rally differential. As always, to test the cars on the dirt, I ran it through two different dirt races, HTV2 and Rumble, and this GT-R did not do so well. It ran a 157.8 on HTV2, which is currently last place among the 3 cars I've tested, and a 323.3 on Rumble, which again is last place. I know I only have 3 cars up there right now, but my quest for finding the fastest rally or dirt car can definitely move on from the R34 GT-R. It didn't even come close to dethroning the Beetle or the Civic. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep this one on the road for now. Alright, almost done guys, let me hit you with a summary and then we can move on. So on the track I would say it's an okay car, but it can't compete with the big boys. I think I would rather drive the Evo 9, the RSR, or the F1 instead. And if you find yourself in a race with any of those 3 cars, you're most likely going to lose. Now you can definitely drag race this thing, it does have a decent quarter mile, but any experienced drag racer with an Evo 9, a Beetle, or an F1 will for sure win. So just know who you're pulling up on. And lastly, and this is honestly where I recommend this car a lot, and it's in drifting. Drifting this car is so fun. It has enough power to keep the wheels spinning and you can pull off some insane drifts. Like I said earlier, I broke multiple personal records with this car and in some of my favorite drift sections as well. It really does shine as a drift build, so I'm crowning the drifting category as the winner for this wrong build video. Hopefully this helped you out in some way, as that is always my goal. Thank you very much for watching. Trigger out.